Welcome to the Full-Time Life podcast. I'm Steph. When I started this podcast, I started it small and scrappy because if I waited for perfect conditions, I'd still be out beyond the break, waiting for the wave to catch me and not the other way around. An analogy for surfing, for starting anything new, and ultimately for life. My vision for this podcast is to share conversations that encourage and inspire you to live your life to the hilt. After all, life is for the living, and it is a full-time job. I'm joined in this episode by my friend Jen Gross. There are fewer things in life that are an absolute yes than the restaurant that Jen and her husband Zack own and run, Uncle Funz Provision in St. Pete Beach. If food had energy, and I think it does, this episode will give you an idea of the passion and love this duo put into the food they prepare, the provisions they source, and the experience they offer for everyone that walks through the door. It's Uncle Funz with a Z, and we even talk about how it got its name. And with this next episode, let's begin again. I am joined in today's episode with my good friend, Jen Gross. You are not just one half of the duo behind Uncle Funz, but you have been in St. Pete for a while. I know you through your persona as kind of hospitality, but I know there's more to you.
I actually was born in St. Pete. I'm one of not so many. Everybody's migrated here after COVID. It's easy to understand why, because it's the best place to live ever. And then my husband is the other half of Uncle Funz. We've been married 22 years. We just celebrated 22 years of marriage. We dated 3.5 before getting married.
Wow, that's major.
Yeah. So we work together, we live together, we have an awesome kid together. It's pretty cool that we love working together, which is pretty insane. We actually met originally at a wedding like a million years ago. He was stepping in place of somebody else that was not able to attend the wedding. So he was in the wedding party for the guy, and I was the maid of honor for the girl, and he was dating somebody else at the time. And then 6 months later, 4 hours away, we ended up working for the same company, which was interesting. And I didn't realize it was him from the wedding. We were in different departments and we ended up sitting next to each other one day and we started chatting. And yeah, that's how it happened. We ended up going out and then we realized, oh my gosh, we were in this wedding together 6 months prior. After the first date, we've been together ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always thought that what's meant for you will find you. You don't have to worry about the missed opportunities. Serendipitous.
Yes. And then on top of that, his parents were in the beauty business. His dad accredited for NACIS, which accredits like cosmetology schools. And I went to cosmetology school. I was a hairdresser for many years. So just there was a lot of overlaps.
What did you do for your anniversary?
What did we do? We worked. And then we went home and got a bottle of champagne, got some stone crabs, and he cooked. We just sat and watched TV and just hung out and talked.
I first met you because you sold me my wave necklace. And this has become like a symbol of my whole journey of riding a wave. And it's less about surfing and more about life is just going to keep unfolding. And all we can do is prepare ourselves to be someone that's really good at surfing, whatever comes. That being said, ultimately, when we reconnected here, I was like, you sold me this. And now that I've met you around the kitchen table, so to speak, you have been in the restaurant industry for a very long time.
A very long time. Started in high school, hostessing, and then ventured into waiting tables. I did management, pretty much everything.
Most of the people know you from your original restaurant in St. Pete so many years ago, and they are die-hard loyalists. Whatever is on the menu, they want one of.
Yeah.
And so it's really been fun to see you in this environment because I met you in just a different kind of environment, very impactful for me. I would come by and I would just try it on and then I would leave. I was like, I just need to try it on and see if it goes with this outfit. And you were very kind. So you were like, do you want to try it on with some other stuff? And you didn't pressure me or rush me. And then when it was time, I was like, okay, I think it's time.
Yeah. I think like I've been in retail also like my entire life. So for me, like I've been the person that's just splurged and bought things and I've made purchases and it was like, I need it. And then I get it and it's, did I really need that? And so I think now that I'm older and I've purchased a lot of things that I didn't need, I think that something needs to like mean something when you buy it or you should utilize it. Because if it sits in a jewelry box or it sits in the closet, it's wear it. I don't save things for a special occasion. I think it's cool to wear something every day that means something. Mm-hmm. And with retail, I'm the same way. I'm like, do you need it? Does it fit into your space? Does it fit on your body? Whatever.
It's very intentional purchases and how you get dressed, but it matches what I see reflected in your provision shop here, which is very intentional. You're not just trying to do fast things, even how you source the wines. You're like, I want things that you can't get anywhere else, that people are going to come to me because I curated them, and it's a small selection of things that are going to be meaningful.
Yes.
Is this the first time you're blending, owning the retail side and the restaurant side?
Yes. It's amazing. So I love it because for me, like, I'm super number one OCD, but I'm a busybody. Like, I cannot sit still. I've just always had a ton of energy. Some people, maybe it makes them nervous, but if you get to know me, it's just who I am. And so it gives me something when Zach's here prepping and doing things. It gives me some busy work to do, keeping everything like facing a certain way and dusted. And it's just something fun for me to do. And also, I love the fact that I can pick things that I can utilize in my own home. So there's not anything here that I don't use in my own home. Like when we sit down and eat dinner together at night, me and Zach and Zen, I always tell people we eat with cloth napkins every single night. I just think I don't know, it's just a whole thing for us. And I think it's nice. It's green, if you want to call it that. Just something I've always done.
That's interesting because now that you describe it, I can picture it, because I feel like if you're here on a day when it's not slammed, which is hard to come by these days, you feel like you're eating in your living room or kitchen with you. You get the cloth napkin experience. You get to interact. You get to meet all the other friends. It can feel like going to a dinner party with a bunch of friends, because I think you make this mirror that, and you're so comfortable. And then you're not peddling something. You're like, oh, this is what I use it for. And it's a really nice way to exist in this space.
I like, for retail, for me, I think about what makes my home comfortable. And there are certain things that if you ever come to my house, you'll see it's very similar. The whole look, that bohemian chic. I didn't just put this together here. It's how we like live at home. So those are actually our wine glasses. I have the same exact wine glasses at my house. And everybody comments on the wine glasses. Like, usually you go out and you get, some places you'll get like a beautiful like crystal glass, but on the beach, not so much necessarily, especially for lunch. It's important. This is an extension of our home, is how we see it. And it makes me happy when people come in and they appreciate it. They recognize things, or they take things home that we sell. Like, I had a couple the other day sitting outside and they really loved the napkins and they bought some. So
you can experience it and then take a little bit of the experience home with you. How important is aesthetic to you? Because you said it's a very similar aesthetic to home.
It's insanely important. I'm such a visual person. When you go out to eat, I think everybody eats with their eyes nowadays, because everybody looks at Instagram and Facebook and pictures. So you look at something and you want it. You want to experience it. You want to go try a new place. Visually and aesthetics are extremely important. So every detail of everything here is important. I get on my hands and knees and wipe the baseboards. And I don't know, I just think those are little things, and it's details that matter to me, from the hand soap in the bathroom that we sell. And the hand rolled towels, and we have that in our house as well. It's very important. I think some people appreciate it, some people get it, and they don't, and that's okay. I don't get offended if somebody doesn't get it or appreciate it or not come back. There's something for everybody, and there's certain things that some people just don't.
I would say, and maybe because I'm a very visual person too, that anyone who walks through the door, you're impacted by it, whether you realize it or not. Because I think it's part of the whole experience. Is your aesthetic based on any sort of real or fictional location?
No, not at all. So the only thing I would say that people might recognize, and this was actually Zach's idea. So we had the doors and windows hand painted by a local artist. And Zach grew up in Southern California, and he loves In-N-Out Burger. And so if you look at the palm trees on the top and the bottom, their logo and on their cups and everything, it's palm trees. They're red. And so he's like, it'd be cool to do, because the windows needed something. And so I was like, that's a freaking awesome idea. So yeah, that's why we did that. And some people may recognize it. And now that if people are listening, they come in, they're going to be like, oh shit. It brings like the St. Pete and the California together. Obviously the skateboards, people would remember that from Z Grill. And there's a perfect mix of like him and me, I think. There's a softer, exactly. Because Z-Girl was
And
like very hard edge, very not my style. It was very ultra super modern. And it's just, it was great. It was super cool and like ahead of its time, like design wise. This is like more us. This is more our speed.
yes, it is the softness and the edginess.
Right.
And it doesn't clash. Maybe that's indicative of your long marriage too.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
like a
absolutely.
symbioticness to it.
There's a nice balance. And I think that's what makes us successful as business owners together, but also as a couple. I have skateboards in my house. I have I have fresh flowers. So there, you can meld the two.
How did you come up with your name, your logo, just early stages dreaming this up? What was that like?
I actually never saw the space. I knew that it was a space we were probably going to acquire. My family actually owns the space. We rent it from them. It was previously called Barracudas, which was like a Cuban place. I was working one day and Zach came to see it with my uncle and he took pictures. He sent it to me and I was like, oh my, it was crazy. Anyway, so fast forward.
What was oh my God, it was in such bad condition?
It was so dirty. It was so dirty. It was like very dark. It was the floors. You couldn't see the floors. You couldn't see anything. So anyways, fast forward, you get a vision. I came in, saw it in person, saw that there was terrazzo. So the floor was an inspo for the color scheme of the logo, the palm trees, being at the beach. As far as the name, we knew we were going to have provisions. Uncle Funz, like we have a friend that came to us and he's like, hey, I want to be a part of something cool. Let me help you. And so we do have a business partner and Zach's way better at telling the story, but I'll do my best. A lot of our friends call him Uncle Fun because he is just this cool guy that always brings these rad gifts for everybody, all the kids, our friends' kids. And so we're like, since he's involved now, let's call it Uncle Fun. And then we're like, wait, we need to like bring together the fact that we used to have Z Grill and Zorritos. So I'm like, let's add a Z. So Uncle Funz. And then the provisions came in and it just sounded different. It's definitely memorable. And I would say every other person that comes in that hasn't inquired where the name come from asks. It's not a short story, but I need to write it somewhere and just put it up because it's like, it gets sometimes when we're busy, I'm like, shit, do I have to do this? So I'm like, Zach, I'm opening wine and like doing 50 things. Can you please tell this story? So I feel like we need to like put it somewhere. As far as like the like how the logo and everything came, I found this guy, Aiden Stove Studio. We met him at a kind of like a skateboard art type thing. He was selling shirts and just his whole vibe and the look of what he was doing was exactly what I wanted. And so I talked to him and I was like, hey, this is what we want to do. Would you be interested? So I gave him a vision. I'm like, this is what we want. These are the colors that we want. I sent him a picture of the terrazzo because if you come in or if you've noticed, it's pinks and tans and aquas. It's just really
pretty.
It's very pretty. And I was like, this is what we're going to like design the place off of. We just wanted something different. It's a different space. We're not downtown. We're at the beach.
To be in this space and to eat here is to love it, I think. And it's a cool spot. And one thing I like to highlight, what's a big move that you've made in life. And I was telling you earlier, but I heard recently, actually, the big moves are the easy part because you just have to make one big decision and do it once versus the things you have to do every day to be consistent. And I think I see a little bit of both in Uncle Funz, which is what feels like maybe a big move to open up a space and also how consistent you and Zach show up. I see it no matter what day of the week I come in on, and there's a commitment to a new menu every week, sourcing everything. You do everything yourself, soup to nuts. And there's a disciplined commitment to like how much work goes into having a provision shop on the beach that isn't even open 5 days a week, but so much work goes into it. And so I don't know what feels more authentic to talk about, the big move or the moves you have to make consistently on a regular basis to keep it going.
I think what makes this consistent is the path that we've traveled. We've gone from having our first restaurant and you go out on a limb. Like anybody that opens a business, you're taking a risk. You're hoping that people will appreciate what you're doing and they patronize your place. There's a million restaurants that open every year. There's a million businesses. It's a chance that you take, but I think you also go into it knowing, you know what, we're going to do it. We're going to try it. I would never want to not do something that I kept thinking about. I think I don't want to die like wondering what would have happened. We just do it. And I think having a great partner in crime is like the biggest thing. He is so dedicated and so passionate and such a perfectionist as I am. I think it makes it easy. However, it hasn't always been easy. We've had hundreds of employees, I would say, over the course of the time that we've had our restaurants. And it's hard to have employees. I think for us, we have come to this place now that we're happy to just do it ourselves. I would say now is a lot different than what it used to be. And because there are like so many places that are seeking employees, we just chose to let's not go down that path. We can do this. We can do this on our own. We can do the work of multiple people. What's different about us versus other people? I do the work of like 3 people. I can multitask like a motherfucker. So can he. So I don't know. It just works. I love it. And we just went from having 5 days of work a week to 4. And we decided the quality of life is the most important. Time. We always say time is all we have. When we're here, we are 110% in. And we make everybody feel comfortable and they can come by themselves. You're not going to feel like weird about coming in here because you're going to meet a friend and you're going to run into somebody. If you come on a regular basis, you will see the same faces, which is so cool.
It's interesting. We're all trying to live our best lives, our best full-time lives. And then ultimately, we have to decide for ourselves what's fulfilling and what balance looks like. And so hearing your story of like, you've done the big restaurant, you've done the small restaurant, and ultimately with all that experience, what's most fulfilling to you is the 2 of you behind the countertop doing your thing. And more isn't necessarily more. Like
100%. You nailed it on the head. So I was thinking about that as I was driving here. We've come full circle. I think that, yes, we've played have the small restaurant, have the big restaurant. And at the end of the day, we can do it just the 2 of us because we know how to like manage. He's great at managing the food cost. And I order what we need in order to make it through the few days. Granted, with the business, when it comes in, there's days we're going to the grocery store. Again, we're like, damn, we didn't expect that. And so that's okay. We're not ordering from big purveyors that deliver stuff. We're ordering from my wine purveyor and that's it.
Yeah.
We actually go and pick up the food ourselves. The only thing that gets delivered is we'll do seafood and that's pretty much it.
And you have a bread guy.
We do have a bread guy. Unfortunately, that does not get delivered because they are so busy. We use Jameson Bee in Tampa and we use them way back when they would make our brioche bun for a foie gras steak burger, but they will not deliver out to the beach. They do not accept any new clients. They are so busy. Good for them. The
bread is so good.
It's so damn good. And we knew, hey, we're doing a sandwich shop. That's the only people we would ever use. They're just the best. And anybody that's tried it, they agree. And their passion, it's a husband and wife as well. They're the shit. They're really good. And funny story, there's a guy that works for them, which worked for us, John Seibert, for many years. He actually works for them now. And he's a badass baker. Super proud of him.
You talked about you go hard, you go to 110%. Yeah. You're doing many things at once. I've witnessed it. How do you recover on the other side? Because it's not very long before you have to like start all over again, plan the menu, source everything. So how do you recover on your days off? How do you find your balance?
I probably don't have to recover the same way that I did way back in the day. I think because it's just the 2 of us mentally, our recovery is a lot less than what it used to be. You know, we're not having to play HR and deal with people calling in sick or hiring and doing all that. There's a level of stress with that is so immense that it takes a lot out of you emotionally and physically. So I can't necessarily speak for Zach, but I know that we've had conversations and we both agree that it's a lot easier than what it used to be.
I think you're like constantly looking for who needs attention, who needs to top off, that person sitting by themselves. Let's bring them over here. Do you ever turn that off on your days off?
Never.
But is that just how you are?
I am. It is. It's just how I am. I don't know. I feel like I eat, breathe, and sleep hospitality in my life
like
at
who
home.
you are.
It's just who I am.
You never know who's going to walk through the door. And I've seen all different kinds. I've seen people come in right at closing time and everything is being cleaned up, but you'll always find something for them. I saw the most recently, there were no seats anywhere. I was here with my parents, and that you're like, oh, you're going to have to take it to go. And people make it known that they wanted to eat here, but there's no seats. But it all just flows out of you in a very warm and welcoming way. And I think I witnessed it because I don't have that ease as much. I have spaces where you have to hold space for people. And like when I teach yoga, I've got to make sure that people's needs are being met in that space. But it's just never ending with you. And it's cool to me, it's very expansive to watch. And you're like, yeah, I know you got to get here early. Sometimes it's just
that's like the funny part of that is like so many people know to get here early. It's just like, I can't keep saying that because then it's just like, oh, what did I do?
I was driving down Gulf Boulevard the other day after yoga, and so maybe it was like 10:30, and I just took a little glance just to see if anyone was waiting outside, and there were already people waiting outside. Yeah. And so I don't know if that's what you're going to say, but the problem with telling people to come early is like people are camped out before you even open.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it though. You know what? It's such a compliment to us that people do that. And I think it's easy for me and Zach to like, we just love coming here because people that come in the door, they want to be here. And I think what hurts my heart in the world of hospitality now is like, people have lost that. People get pissed if you come in 30 minutes before you're closing. And people come in at 2:15 and we close at 3 and they're like, is it okay? I'm like, absolutely. I think the hard close, that's just rude. I used to tell my servers, listen, you may have plans to go out tonight, but expect to be here an hour after we close. We close at 10. Don't expect to leave before 11. Just in your mind, think that. And you have no idea what somebody's experience or their day was like when they walk in the door. And so I have always thought about that in my mind when people come in. People that I don't know. I know for the most part, like all my customers and what's happening in their life and whatnot, but you just don't know somebody's circumstance, I guess is a better way to say it. So, the whole like closing and not being welcoming to people, it sucks. I think that there's so many places, and if you're not a business owner working in your own place and you have staff that work for you, there's so many things you don't see. I feel like you have to be an active part of your business. You do. There's nobody that does things like you as the person that started the business. And so we go to a lot of places and there's definitely there's not a presence of ownership. And there's been places we've gone and I've had like hostesses look at their watch and that pisses me off. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like, why are you in this business if you're not going to be like welcoming? It's hospitality.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not hospitality just for the sake of making money and making tips. Yeah. Your brand of hospitality is making people feel welcome.
Absolutely.
And that's the distinction.
Totally.
I think that it goes back to like you are having impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
And fulfillment to want to leave something behind. You're not just feeding people a sandwich.
When we started, God, we've been doing this for a long time, but we started our first place in 2005. We had a very different like persona. Mm-hmm. We've definitely grown and matured and seen a lot of different things and have become more humble as we've gotten older. My husband was a little abrasive way back in the day. We've kicked people out of the restaurant, but I don't know. I think like you have people that push you to the point of no return sometimes. And I think you can please people to a point, but you can only do so much. So yes, I am gracious and sweet and nice, but sometimes you can't please people. Yeah. And it's okay. You don't have to be rude, but like you don't have to be Cheesecake Factory that like has something for everyone. Not everybody has something for everybody.
What's your favorite thing in your provisions area right now?
Obviously, the wine. I love our hand soap. The Apotheke is so nice and it's like, it feels great on your hands. It doesn't dry it out.
I feel like you're obsessed with the little water carafe.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, I always have water next to my bed, but I have a glass of water. And that is like the coolest thing because it's a bedside carafe. And what I love about it, I love the color. It's very beachy, like ocean glass, but then you can put the cup on top. So if you have a dog, there's not dog hair that flies in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have all the cups, like the Yetis and the Corksicles and all that, but I like to drink out of glass.
The menu comes together once a week in
Mhm.
some creative process. What is one of your favorite things that have been on the menu since you started?
So, as much as everybody's a sandwich person, I am such a salad person. Any salad Zach does, I love. His dressings he makes are insanely good. They're not like from a bottle or people are like, "Do you make it?" I'm like, "Of course we do." Pretty much any salad. I love like his soups are awesome when he does
Yeah.
them. I feel like the soup is one of those things when people have tried the soup, they're like, "Okay, I'm going to come every week and get the soup." And there are people literally that come and just get soup.
And they're not always on the menu.
They're not always on the menu. Of course, the sandwiches, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so hard for me to pick because
They're all so good.
it's all magical.
And we talked a little bit about your routine when you're not working and how you stay mentally, physically healthy and fit. How do you like live your life beyond your hospitality persona?
I definitely am very active with my friends. I don't always go out, but I keep in touch with people. When I get up in the morning, very much need my cup of coffee. We actually have an old school coffee maker. I have an espresso maker too if I want an espresso, but we grind our own beans. So that smell of coffee in the morning motivates me, gets me up. And then I open my blinds, I let the dog out, and I sit on the couch with my husband and we'll catch up and talk about each other's day even before we have to work. So we sit and we talk and plan our day, and then I get ready. Have my skincare routine that I do, and then we drive to work together.
And you have an easy go-to wardrobe if you want, because you can just wear branded hats and shirts and
Yes.
if you wanted to.
Yes.
You mentioned that you get your steps in, you're pretty active. Is that here? Are you walking so much here that
It's here. I used to do Pilates. We live in Tierra Verde. So we'll walk in the neighborhood, take the dog for a walk. But other than that, I feel like I'm on my feet enough. And then I don't do this intentionally, but I guess I intermittent fast, which I need my coffee and my water in the morning. And then I'm working during the day. So I usually don't have lunch. If I'm off work, I will go have lunch with my girlfriends or sometimes Zach. But I typically don't. I eat dinner.
Whenever I'm here, I never see you guys eating.
No, it's not part of the deal. But I've always been like that. I never really was a lunch person. I've worked jobs other than the restaurant business that had a lunch break, but I would want to work through my lunch break. I didn't really care to eat. It's not like I'm starving myself. I just
you don't get hungry.
I just don't get hungry.
Home, you eat.
And then I will eat like a meal. He'll make these amazing dinners at home. And then if I'm sitting on the couch enjoying wine after dinner, then sometimes I'll want to have a snack. And we have a big snack drawer, like a massive snack drawer that has everything from like nuts to like Trader Joe's truffle chips, which are my favorite, chocolate covered pretzels. All the kids, like all the teenagers go to that drawer as we do. It's what works for me.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. That is intermittent fasting.
And I didn't know. I think I was doing it before they like had a name for it, but yeah.
Mother's Day is coming up. Do you have any plans for Mother's Day?
So we just dropped from 5 days to 4. And last year we closed on Mother's Day and Father's Day. And I told Zach, listen, I really want to work. I love being here. I want to see all of our customers, and I know people will come in.
For sure.
Not everybody wants to go sit at a fancy hotel and have a brunch buffet, which is what I used to do when I was growing up with my mom. I feel like coming out to the beach and like people will want to do that. And so I'm excited to work. Usually in the past, I would want to just have coffee and read Coastal Living magazine, which is, I don't know, that was my thing. And Zach would make me like breakfast, which if I'm eating breakfast, I love like chilaquiles.
Ooh.
And he makes the best.
What?
Yeah. And then I'll drink champagne. But I don't know. I can drink champagne here if I want to. Hello. But yeah, so I'll come to work.
It's fun. Yeah. We've talked about the restaurant. We talked about home life. I feel like we've
Covered a lot.
This is so awesome. I will say my sister who lives in Dallas, but anytime she's here, we come here. And we will be in other cities and other places, and she'll say, I just wish there was like an Uncle Funz here.
Aw, that's so
And
cute.
so you leave like this lasting impression of there's nothing else really like this. And you're like, oh man, I wish there was something like that. That's not just a grab and go sandwich place. A lot of thought goes into it. You're always excited about the menu, what's going to come up next, and you can linger longer if you want.
You can. This is a place you come for conversation. You have to talk to people. And it's nice. It's a gathering place in the community. And I will say this, there are people that I hear from, they're like, I look so forward. It used to be Wednesdays to Wednesday morning, but now Thursday morning. And I can't wait to see what the menu is. It's cool. People are like super stoked to see what it's going to be.
Totally.
And I think it creates a buzz. And I think that there are very few things in life that are surprises.
And the Uncle Funz menu drop is one of those few things. If you know, you know. If you enjoyed this episode and want to know where you can find this provision shop that is filled with so much heart and care for food, for the community, and for creating an unforgettable experience, follow Uncle Funz on Instagram. It is Funz with a Z on the end for Zach. And if you are in St. Pete Beach, pop in and experience it for yourself.